The transfer portal is officially open. Is Cam Ward going to attract that top talent to the U?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are live because the transfer portal spins oh so quickly. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and also host of Locked On ACC. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Happy Truth Teller Tuesday. We got the Truth Teller, Bruce Warner, on. And Bruce, so far, it's been a really quiet morning. Miami offensive lineman Logan Sagapalu, so far, is the only new Miami Hurricane entry into the transfer portal. We've known for some time about Henry Parrish, who's already filed his paperwork. We know Nigel Kelly is going to leave in the portal. I don't think his paperwork is official yet, but that's just a formality. So it's Parrish, Kelly, Sagapalu. I think there will be several others, though.
Yeah, he's no surprise. He's not going to play. He just won't. And what I saw before, and I think this is probably true, it's going to be Okunlolu starting at right tackle. Then you've got, the guys, and then you're going to move Mawanoa to left guard. And the other guys are from last year, of course, Carpenter playing center. So I think that's our five best offensive linemen. Alex and I were out at practice on Thursday. I guess he mentioned it when he was doing his show the other day, but we were out there, got to see a lot of people, talked to a lot of people. Got my picture taken with Edgerrin James. That was good. So, and this is really exciting now because there's a lot of unknown. We watched the spring game. I saw your show. You talked about that. We could still talk about that. But it is time for the portal. It's open until, I think, April 30th, which is 2 weeks.
Correct.
And I'm assuming in the next day, maybe while we're doing the show, there'll be more names out there. You've got names that we should be looking at. And there's guys out there that we shouldn't bother even looking at. We only need, and I'll just say this. I spoke to a coach on the team, not going to mention names, but he told me, as we've discussed, they are only looking for starters. They are not looking for guys that are going to come in and just be bodies. They've done that for the last 2 years. They need starters. They need blue chip players, and they're done experimenting with guys with upsides, so let's start with that, okay?
And also, let me start with the situation because a lot of folks are asking about the scholarship numbers. My understanding as of this time on Tuesday morning is, and this is just, assuming, the scholarship players who are on their way out, Sagapalu, Nigel Kelly, Henry Parrish, there are going to be others. But at this very moment, it appears that Miami is on 89 scholarships, including the true freshmen, including a bunch of guys who haven't enrolled yet, that they're at 89 scholarships. We all know the limit is 85. So they are 4 scholarships above the limit. Bruce, my educated estimate for the past couple of weeks as to how many players Miami would like to bring in, I think somewhere between 4 to 6 players. And like you said, difference makers. So if they're 4 over the scholarship limit right now, and they want to bring in at least 4, that tells me we're looking at least 8 more players who are going to go out the door that are going to leave. Okay.
I don't think those names are so hard to figure out. Look, there's a ton of DBs that aren't even that good. There'll be a bunch of those guys out of here. Probably a couple of defensive linemen as they're talking about bringing in Romello Height, maybe within the next week or two. We know they're going to be looking for a blue chip running back. We know they're going to look for a wide receiver that can start. That I know because I talked to the coach without mentioning his name. And, and there's no reason for them not to. They have to look. They have to go out there and see what's out there and if they can bring it in. Now, there's going to be money issues. I kind of know, what the value is of the Martinez kid. And there's a possible guy that may be coming in the running back who might be looking for twice that amount. My opinion is I'd pay that kid.
Well, let's talk about those real quick. So I think this happened after you and I last spoke last week. Damian Martinez, Oregon State running back, who he was a legit featured running back at Oregon State, 6.1 yards per carry, almost 1,200 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns this past season. He's going to be entering the transfer portal. There's been a lot of buzz about Miami interest in Damian Martinez. And one that I did talk about this a little bit yesterday, Bruce, but the other guy you're referring to has not hit the portal yet. Maybe he won't, but there has been some buzz about North Carolina stud running back Amari and Hampton. Like, Martinez, really good. Hampton, I would argue, is better. And he put up the numbers last year. I mean, 5.9 yards per carry, 1,500 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns, a receiving touchdown. And like you said, we know that Martinez would certainly, from an NIL standpoint, be costly. Miami's in a good NIL situation, and Amari and Hampton would be significantly more costly even
pay him whatever you can pay him. Get this kid. If he's out there, he's not out there yet, but I would pay. I don't care Martinez or not. This kid is a difference maker for Ward, and get a blue chip wide receiver. But then after that, they've got to go on the other side of the ball, because we were at the spring game. I've been talking to people. They still have problems. They still need a blue chip corner. They need a safety that really is good. They too many ifs and what ifs and maybes on the defense. They need another linebacker if they can get one. And they're talking about Romello Height. There's a lot of comments here and everywhere. They don't really need him, which probably is true. But I don't know what the interest is from Miami. He likes Miami, but that doesn't mean they're taking him. But they still need a stud D tackle. Can't count on Justin Scott. There's nobody out there that I saw the other day that's worth much. I didn't think the defense was so great the other day. I just didn't. But we'll talk about that. But this portal thing is important for Miami to jump on it and get these people. I know they have a list. I haven't seen it, but I know there's a list of who they would want and who might come out. They need to make these things happen fast. They can't afford to lose these guys that will make them better. This is it. To me, it's worth whatever money they pay, because if they win 10, 11 games this year, that sets the tone for the next who knows how many years. They can't afford to be cheap by a couple of $100,000 and wind up, struggling to win 8 or 9 games. They got to win 10 games this year.
Yeah, and they got to, when it comes to the transfer strategy, why Miami's looking for whales. Like, you can use the old Pat Riley saying, you can use it this way, because they want to maximize the 1 year that they have with Cam Ward. Because you don't know if you're going to have a quarterback this good anytime soon again, Bruce. Right. I mean, next year we'll talk about, whether Miami is going to have the guys who are in the room competing to be the starter if they go out and try to find another transfer. But right now, you've got a truly special quarterback, and the coaching staff believes now. They believe it even more now than when they brought Ward in, because he had such a good spring and a good offseason program, how special he is. And so, later on this episode, we are going to talk about what we learned about the roster during spring football. And I want to get into, Bruce, Cam Ward, not only the feeling Miami has to go all in to win with him, but Cam Ward, I would think, is going to help Miami attract top talent, especially top offensive talent, because everyone saw what he did in the spring game. Everyone saw what he did at Washington State. They've heard about what he's done so far in Miami during his time here. You've got to think that there are some blue chip offensive players out there, running backs, receivers, who say, hey, I wouldn't mind investing a year of my career with this guy.
You want to hear a quick story about Cam Ward? So Mark Caesar, who stayed with me all weekend, went to the alumni dinner on Friday night. And he comes back and he tells me that Cam Ward was mouthing off to some of the former players. He was cocky. He said something to Tolbert Dane, like, you know what? If I saw you trying to tackle me at the goal line, I'd jump right over your head. You couldn't stop me. And then Tolbert said, but I'd punch you in the balls. So, I mean, they were just going at it. And this kid, everybody loved it because he's cocky.
I love it.
Usually we think, you're among, Devin was there, Andre Johnson was there. All these guys were there, but he still had a mouth on him. It was really cool. They love him. So as far as the fans are concerned, you got to love it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, like, even for those who were watching the spring game, you may have noticed that, like, he and Wesley Besaint were jawing at each other after plays. Like, I love that stuff. And okay, folks, there are so far, we talked about a couple of offensive players, a couple of running backs who there have been reported interest on the Miami side of things. I want to talk when we come back about some defensive players who are hitting the portal that Miami is reportedly interested in, because
Yeah.
areas I believe Miami needs to upgrade is the defensive backfield, corners and safeties. There are safeties out there that Miami might be looking at. And folks, when we're talking about these possible available players, I want to break them up in three different categories. Like the category number one would be proven commodities. Category number two would be potential breakout players. And then number three would be maybe a Jag. And I don't think Miami's really looking for Jags right now. So I know Bruce Warner's not a Jag. He is the truth teller, and you guys want to keep it locked right here. We are only getting started on this transfer portal episode of Locked On Canes. And my friends, you know I'm only getting started with FanDuel because we're winning money. We're having a great time. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. What are you waiting for, guys? We got play-ins, playoff coming up this week. Your Florida Panthers are guaranteed home ice advantage in the first round. You want to get in on the action at FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Guys, I'm so happy we can add Monopoly Go. We welcome them to the family here on Locked On Canes. I have a competitive side. We all do. And growing up playing Monopoly with the family, I don't think I ever won a single game of Monopoly growing up because my father was so good at it. He would just destroy we'd be up till like 4 a.m. and my father had all the money. He had Boardwalk, he had Park Place. So it built this competitive spirit in me where I now take that out on everybody on this amazing app, Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, including building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So set up the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Thank you so much for making this transfer portal episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And folks, I've been very active throughout the morning on the Locked On Canes Insiders chat. Click the link in the show description below. We're talking about Miami transfers, who might leave, who Miami might bring in. Become a Locked On Canes insider. Click that link. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours. If you like it, you can opt in after 2 weeks for $4.99 a month. It's free for 2 weeks. Opt in. We give you a lot of added value on there on the Locked On Canes insiders chat. We always get value here from Bruce Warner, the truth teller.
And that's not true, Alex. Somebody said that I know nothing. Last week, somebody made a comment. I only bring in the guests. I know nothing. That person,
you know things.
Put his head in the toilet and flush it. Are you out of your mind? Let me just make this because I know we're really busy on this. Do you guys know that I do this for free? Every show, all the conversations I have with Alex and all these players I bring on, Alex hasn't paid me a penny. I don't give a damn. I do this to make you guys happy, to make this show good for Alex because he wants me on the show. But don't insult yourself by saying I know nothing. Come on. Wow. That's ridiculous.
Bruce knows things, and I feel like I'm gonna up your salary. I'm gonna give you 20 times what I'm paying you now. Okay, Bruce.
Okay. Well, my pocket will still be empty, but that's okay because I do this because you're my friend. I want to help you, and I don't need the money. It's just about doing this show and having fun with you. And I don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things, but I'm here to make the show entertaining for you guys. And look, you got a whole board full of comments. That's great. That's why it's a good show because we create controversy, and it's important to do that. I don't have all the answers, but I try to help and I try to bring information to you guys.
Playing time.
I forget my old age. I'm 70 years old. Sorry, I'm 70 years old, but I'm still playing basketball. I played yesterday.
Oh man, so I want to take a look at that. There are some defensive backs that Miami could definitely have rumored interest in. Well, one of these has rumored interest in Miami. I think he told our friends at Kane Sport that he would definitely, absolutely consider Miami, and that's UNC cornerback legend Cavazos. He's hitting
Right.
the transfer portal. He's a former 4-star recruit out of IMG Academy a few years ago. 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. Now, here's the thing, and I talked about the categories I'm going to put players in, Bruce, whether it be proven commodities, potential breakout guys, or Jags. I would put Cavazos in the potential breakout category because he was supposed to have his breakout year with the Tar Heels last year, suffered an injury. He only appeared in one game last season for them. He actually started his college career at Ohio State, and they were pretty excited about him in Columbus, transferred for North Carolina. He's known for his speed as a former track athlete, but Bruce, he doesn't check off the proven commodity box. So this is where, if Miami does look at bringing in Mr. Cavazos to try to bolster their cornerback room, they're going to have to be very careful, not only with their scouting of him. Now, I did hear he did go through spring football with the Tar Heels just now before hitting the portal. He had been running with the 1s and 2s, so he had been getting pretty prominent reps at cornerback in practice there. But obviously, Chevis Jackson, the cornerbacks coach, Lance Guidry, defensive coordinator, they would have to evaluate him really carefully because he doesn't have as much elite college tape as some of the other guys we're going to talk about.
They also have to check his injury status, because I've had enough, and I'm sure all our viewers and listeners have had enough with guys coming in and they're injured. Look at all the guys injured now. I don't even know what happened to some of these guys, like A.J. Allen and the Maui Noahs, and they're out.
AJ's gonna. AJ and the Maui Noahs will both be good to go by
they're fine. Yeah, right. And we have to wait for the guy's sneakers to come in, which was ridiculous because we saw him out there the other day, and he had his jersey on, he had the whole uniform on, the helmet and everything, but he wasn't practicing. Yeah. But you know what? That guy is someone they need to check out. I don't know much about him. I want guys that are starters where they were, not injured starters or possible starters. We want guys like O'Marion, guys like that have been there, that have proven record, and they're not hurt. That's what I'm looking for. And I think that's what they're looking for.
Well, let me give you, because there's one of those.
Throw out some more names.
Well, okay, so here's one that checks off the proven commodity box, and I feel pretty good about Miami being able to get something done here for this safety. Jacoby Matthews out of Texas A&M, 6'1", listed at 200. I don't know if that's out of date from his recruiting profile. Listed at 201. Right. I hope he's a little heavier than 201 by now. But this guy, he started 10 games at Texas A&M last year. Bruce, this guy, he's got, I think, he's appeared in 20 games in the SEC. This is the type of player you look for. 510 snaps last year, had a very strong 80.8 coverage grade, according to Pro Football Focus via InsideTheU.com. He was targeted 21 times last fall, allowing just 10 catches for 82 yards. He had an interception, 4 pass breakups last year. So again, this is a player, Jacoby Matthews, who has started significant games in the SEC at Texas A&M. And I think this is the one that has he's got the Louisiana connect. He's from Louisiana. So you know Lance Guidry. Lance Guidry's blowing up his phone already. Dennis Smith, Miami's recruiting guru, he's from Louisiana. Shannon Doss is from Louisiana. So I think someone like this, who's got that proven starters experience in the SEC, at a position of need at safety, this is one you go after.
Yeah, I agree with that, rather than the Marshall kid. The kid that's from Marshall that announced like he would like to come here. They really have to find the best players, and I'm sure they will. And it might not be today. It take a couple of days. They do have to do their due diligence, but I think they also had some idea who might be going into the portal, and because of that, I think they're going to jump on some people quickly. But not everybody's announced yet. I thought there'd be like hundreds of names out there by today. That's what I thought.
So. I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, I guess certain players are not feeling the immediate rush, I guess, to put their names in there. There's also, like, being real here, Bruce, I'm sure that there are, and I'm not specifically talking about Miami necessarily, but all around the country, there are players who are thinking of hitting the portal, and maybe they're doing some last-minute NIL renegotiations to decide whether they're going in or not. Because I'll tell you, man, one thing that And I'm going to be talking about this on tomorrow's episode of Locked On ACC, which I also host. I co-host that with Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. Louisville, I think Louisville's going to be hemorrhaging players, Bruce, because there are reports out there about them kind of struggling with their NIL situation, that they made a lot of big promises that they can't necessarily follow through on. They've already this morning had 5 offensive linemen and a defensive lineman who are expected to hit the portal. Oh, and let me, by the way, when we're talking about some of these semantics and regulations, I want to circle back onto something with Jalen Matthews. I didn't know this until last night. So Jalen Matthews, he's leaving Texas A&M. He's transferring out of the SEC. The SEC has a rule where you cannot, in the spring window, you can't transfer from one SEC school to another SEC school. So that's obviously good for Miami because, as a Louisiana kid, if he was thinking of going to LSU or someplace, he's not going to LSU.
Right.
Not if he picks his school now, because you can't go SEC to SEC. So that's another thing to watch out for.
Yeah, and I don't know this kid in particular, but I did talk to Lance Guidry, and I was in the equipment room because I was getting this shirt and some other things we got. Mario got his stuff out of the equipment room, so I got shirts and hats. But anyway, so he knows about this kid. I think they're going to be very aggressive with him. So that's one name that I think could be on this roster pretty soon. You're right. He's not going to the SEC. They won't let him.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess I have to get a new mic because these guys are complaining. So I'll go out and I'll buy a much more expensive mic. In fact, I'll ask you to look for the one I should get, and I'll go buy it. How's that?
You got to get this one. You got to get the Shure MV7. It'll never let you down.
All right, because I do this, and I have my courtroom stuff on the Zoom and whatever other shows I'm going to be doing. All right, so what about D tackles? Any names out there? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, here's one that I don't.
Not the
I need to
Rutgers
learn
guy.
more.
Forget the Rutgers guy.
Well, okay, but I'm going to bring. I think he probably falls into the Jag category, but I'm going to bring him up because Rutgers defensive tackle Rene Conga. I have to bring him up because there was a report. I think this was from Steve Wiltfong of On3, said early teams to watch for Rutgers defensive lineman Rene Conga include Penn State, Wake Forest, Kansas, Cincinnati, and Miami. 6'4", 290-pounder, played in 10 games this past season, totaling 8 tackles with a strip sack. He's a 2-time academic All Big Ten selection. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. So I don't know. He doesn't have, he appeared in 10 games. I don't think he was starting in any of those games, Bruce. So I don't know if they would consider this guy to be really any better.
Relax. Look at the teams that he's interested in. They're interested in him. They're not such great teams.
Penn State's not bad.
Penn State, they're never going to win the Big Ten anymore. Not with Ohio State and Michigan over there. They're a second-tier team now. Plus, what are they going to do without Manny? My goodness, they're going to fall apart.
And then another one, I don't know if this guy might be in the Jag category, but I'm going to watch him because he's a former local high school player from Miami Palmetto. 6'1", 200. No, that's not right. He's 6'1", I think, 190 pounds. Corey Collier Jr., former Miami Palmetto player. He's leaving Nebraska, defensive back. He's a safety, but he didn't play a whole lot.
He's a Jag. He hasn't done anything. I remember that kid. They're not after kids like that.
Yeah, according to his Nebraska bio, he saw action on defense and special teams, but did not record a tackle. So he doesn't have any stats.
Okay. Meanwhile, some of these guys are claiming that either you or Locked On should buy me that microphone. I shouldn't have to go out and buy it. And I agree with these guys.
I already don't pay you. The least I can do is get you a microphone. I can do that for you. I will.
All right. You guys are great, man. That's guys in the comments section. All right.
It's like your agent here in the comment section. I want to talk a little bit more about Miami's spring game and what we learned about the roster. And yes, I see people writing this in the comments. We already did mention this. Offensive lineman Logan Sagapalu is going to be leaving Miami in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
We already know, of course, defensive end Nigel Lee Kelly is going to be leaving. Henry Parrish, as we've known for a few weeks, is going to be leaving. I'm expecting several more because Miami is right now about 4 spots over the scholarship limit. And I think they need to be at least 4 spots under that limit to bring in a few players they want to bring in. So we're looking at probably at least 8, Miami players who are going to be hitting the transfer portal within, the next few days or the next couple weeks, depending on how long they procrastinate on this. But we'll continue the conversation. Bruce Warner, the truth teller, is with us. You folks want to keep it locked right here on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And if you're a small business owner, you need to have LinkedIn in your life. When you're hiring for that business, you want to find quality professionals who are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn is like the transfer portal for professionals, guys. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much for making this transfer portal episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. It's Locked On NFL Mock Draft live on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel or YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft on April 17th at 7 o'clock, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. We got the truth teller, Bruce Warner, with us. Now, Bruce, what were your big takeaways from the spring game? I know you've had a chance to watch it. Anything stand out to you, positive and negative, from that?
I thought the receivers played well.
Yeah,
I really did. I think that the receivers did really well. There was only a handful of drops. I like the kid Kirk, Shamar Kirk. He looked really good. He looked good indoors and he looked good outdoors. He looked really good. Yeah. I think that they're looking for that wide receiver because as good as Horton has been and he's gotten better, he doesn't have the speed to go deep that often. And I think that's something they like him, but I don't think he's what they believe is the answer. So obviously you have to look at Cam Ward. He was really good. I didn't think the offensive line was so great. I didn't see that many gaping holes for the running backs. But then again, you had Citizen he cut his hand open before, so he had a big thing and he fumbled the ball.
Probably had a lot to do with that club on his hand. It's hard. How do you hold on?
He could only hold it with one hand. The two backs, and Wheatley, Humphrey, and Johnson, they were okay. They turned the corner once or twice. I just didn't think the offensive line really blocked that well for both the run game and the passing game. Our quarterbacks were getting out of that pocket quickly. They were scrambling quickly. They were in there. Now, the D-line was good. The linebackers were pretty good. The secondary was okay, because if I'm saying the receivers were open and they looked good, then the DBs weren't so great. So that's what I'm looking at. I think our secondary, not that good. And we had a pick six, and that was from the linebacker, the Bobby kid, Pruitt, who he had a pick six.
Yeah.
So he's not even a DB; he's a linebacker. But he cut in front and picked it off and went to the house. So that's my thoughts. I think our special teams are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold on the defensive line yet, and the running backs. We need a blue chip back. We really do. It's a shame about Citizen. It's a shame about Fletcher. I think Fletcher's going to be back. Again, not mentioning names. They expect him back. The problem with that is if somehow or other he gets nicked in fall camp, he's not playing this year. They are not going to risk this kid's future. That's what I was told. So if he's 100% healthy, makes it through fall camp, he will be there in Gainesville. But if not, if he gets nicked up or he's not fully at full strength, he's going to sit. They can't. They're not going to risk his career or his livelihood. They won't.
Oh, here's one to watch, and we appreciate you guys. This is why I thought it was really important to do a live show today, because sometimes you guys are going to see things before we do. Keandre Lambert entering the transfer portal from Penn State. He was their leading wide receiver. I think that could potentially be the type of needle mover that you would look for. And folks, we're going to be keeping you updated throughout the coming days. If something big breaks today, we're going to be back here on Locked On Canes. And I thought, Bruce, you hit it on the head with a lot of the stuff you said today. I mean, the big thing in the positive sense that I learned from the spring game is Miami starting quarterback is going to be a strength this year. I think Cam Ward's going to have an incredible season. I do think that they could use some help at defensive back and some help at running back. So awesome stuff as always. You guys want to make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to Locked On Canes. And if you want to make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Canes Insiders Chat, you want to help donate some money for Bruce Warner's new microphone that we're going to be sending to him.
Don't say that, because I'm holding you to it.
We're going to get it. I promise you. just send me your address off air, and I'll have you shipped one through Amazon.
All right, you got it. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys again next time. Keeping up with the transfer portal. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.